Hello, students. We are studying the chapter Understanding Marginalization, and today we'll start second part of this chapter, and the topic is Adivasis and stereotyping. So this is the first topic of today's video, Adivasis and stereotyping. In India, we usually showcase Adivasi communities in particular ways. Whenever we ask about Adivasis and whenever you listen this word Adivasis, so the one image comes in your mind, Adivasis, that what kind of people they are during school functions or other official events or in books and movies. Adivasis are invariable portrayed in very stereotypical ways in colorful costumes, headgear as you can see in this picture, and through their dancing. Besides this, we seem to know very little about the realities of their lives. It means we know very less about their lives, that what kind of lifestyle is there of Adivasis. This often wrongly leads to people believing that they are exotic, primitive, and backward. Often, Adivasis are blamed for their lack of advancement as they are believed to be resistant to change or new ideas. We think that Adivasis don't want to change themselves, don't welcome the new ideas, and they never like the new things. So you will remember that you read in class 6th book how stereotyping particular communities can lead to people discriminating against such groups. So Adivasis, whatever we think about Adivasis, that they are backward, they are primitive, they are exotic, it may be wrong. It may not be true, right? So this is only our stereotyping about Adivasis. So this was about Adivasis and stereotyping. The next topic is Adivasis and development. In this topic, we'll study about the development of Adivasis. Earlier, the people lived in the forest, those who are known as Adivasis. Now, at present, you also have studied about the importance of forests. Forests were very important for all kinds of kings and empires and for settled civilizations in India, because all important minerals were found in the forest: gold, silver, iron ore, copper, diamonds, and medicinal plants, animal products found in the forest. So, forests were the hub of the economic activities. In addition, the continuation of life depended heavily on forests that help recharge many of India's rivers and is becoming clearer now, crucial to availability of quality of our air and water. You know that Adivasis lived in the forest, and forests were like their homes because they knew everything about the forest. What kind of useful things are there in the forest? They knew. Adivasis were very important for empires also, because empires heavily dependent on Adivasis for the crucial access to forest resources. This is radically contrary to our image of Adivasis today as somewhat marginal and powerless communities. In the pre-colonial world, they were traditionally arranged hunter-gatherers, as we have discussed, nomads, and lived by shifting agriculture. What was shifting agriculture? We have discussed. Although these remain for the past 200 years, Adivasis have been increasingly forced through economic changes, forest policies, and political force applied by the state and private industry to migrate to lives as workers in plantations, at construction sites, in industries, and as domestic workers. For the first time in history, they do not control or have much direct access to the forest territories because of forest laws, as we have discussed, that now the Adivasis were expelled from the forest and they are compelled to do other activities rather than the forest activities. We can read this paragraph here. from the 1830s onwards. Adivasis from Jharkhand and adjoining areas moved in very large numbers to various plantations in India and the world, Mauritius, the Caribbean, and even Australia. Caribbean islands like Jamaica, Trinidad, Tobago, like this. India's tea industry became possible with their labor in Assam, right? So these kinds of laborers came from the forest, those who were Adivasis. Today there are 70 lakh Adivasis in Assam alone. How many? 70 lakhs. The story of this migration is full of extreme hardship, torture, heartbreak, and death. For example, in the 19th century alone, 5 lakh Adivasis had perished in these migrations. 5 lakh Adivasis. The song below captures the hopes of the migrants and the reality they faced in Assam. Through these lines, come Mini, let's go to Assam. Our country has so much suffering, the country of Assam, oh Mini, has tea gardens full of greenery. The Sardar says work, work. The Babu says catch and bring them in. The Sahib says I will take off the skin of your back. Hey Jaduram, you deceived us by sending us to Assam. This is the feeling of an Adivasi, the, the person who is working in the tea plantations and tortured by the owners. Source Basu S. Jharkhand Movement, Ethnicity and Culture of Silence. So these lines, through these lines we can understand the feelings of Adivasis. Now this is the image of Niyamgiri Hills, right? Situated in Kalahandi district of Odisha. This is the image. Kalahandi district is located in Odisha. This area is inhabited by Dongaria Kons, Adivasi community. This is the Adivasi community. Niyamgiri is the sacred mountain of this community. A major aluminium company is planning to set up a mine and a refinery here, which will displace this Adivasi community. So definitely if the factory is set up anywhere, then the community of that particular area will be displaced. So they have strongly resisted this proposed development and have been joined by environmentalists as well. A case against the company is also pending in the Supreme Court now. So this is a scenario of Adivasis, how they face the problems due to these kinds of developmental. So dear students, due to developmental projects, the lives of Adivasis have been affected and sometimes destroyed completely, because forest lands have been cleared for timber and to get land for agriculture and industry, and Adivasis used to live there in the areas where natural resources were found, like minerals, very important minerals. So developmental projects had been started in the area where Adivasis used to live, due to which they were displaced in the area from that particular forest, from that particular area they were expelled from the forest. If we see the example of some areas, like according to official figures, more than 50% of persons displaced due to mines and mining projects are tribals. So tribal people were displaced, 50% among them. Another recent survey report by organizations working among Adivasis show that 79% of the persons displaced from the state of Andhra Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Jharkhand are tribals. Huge tracts of their lands have also gone under the waters of hundreds of dams that have been built in independent India. And if we take example from northeast, their lands remain highly militarized, right, where the military persons have been appointed. India has 104 national parks covering 40,501 square kilometer area and 543 wildlife sanctuaries covering 1,18,918 square kilometer area. So these are the areas where tribal originally lived, but they were evicted from. When they continue to stay in these forests, they are termed encroachers, they were beaten, they were tortured, arrested by the police and by the authority. So they lost their livelihood, they lost their economic activities, whatever they used to do in the forest. Now they could not collect essential commodities from the forest, they could not live there, they were homeless now, right, displaced from the area. So in this way, developmental projects affected their lives completely. 45%, one another data, 45% of tribal groups in rural areas and 35% in urban areas live below the poverty line. This leads to deprivation in other areas. Many tribal children are malnourished, right? They could not get the balanced diet, they could not get the sufficient food for them, and literacy rates among tribals are also very low. So dear students, in this way we have understood that how the lives of Adivasis affected due to developmental projects by the government and